Hey everybody, Cathy McLeish back here again with Alcoholism Unpacked. And I'm a recovering alcoholic of over 30 years. Just want to share some wisdom and some information so that the disease of alcoholism is not so mysterious and it isn't so misunderstood. So today I want to talk about the power of weakness. And in today's society, it'd be like, there is no power in weakness, there's none. But I want to tell you that in a lot of areas, there really is. In recovery, for one thing, the way that people most often get to the point of change is somebody that has got on the other side, somebody that has overcome their addiction, shares their story of weakness, and then tells the person after they've related to that ugliness, to that life of not being able to stop drinking, after they've related with that person about the desperation, they bring them to the other side with a solution. Now, there is a lot of power in that weakness. And on a day-to-day basis, I really have learned over the years that there is a lot of power in my weakness. I had a girlfriend say just the other day, I've never thought of you of being scared of anything. You always seem so confident. And I was like really disturbed to hear that. I was disheartened because I don't want to present that persona. I want people to understand that I come from a place of weakness. I often am afraid of the next thing that I want to do. And granted, I'm doing more today than I was doing 10 years ago and 10 years before that. But every time that I come upon something new, it is a challenge for me. And I have to walk through that fear to the other side, to that accomplishment, to that victory. So to think that I am not afraid of the things that I do on a daily basis, I want my daughters to know that. I want them to know that everything that they go through, I have gone through and maybe even been afraid to walk through it. That in and of itself is my power in my relationship with my children. Now, I'm not saying anything negative about my mom, but I can only remember one time when my mom came to me and said, I'm sorry, I overreacted, I made a mistake, and I'm going to change my mind. Now, the fact that I remember that time, that it is like branded in my brain, says my mom maybe didn't do that enough for me to understand how human she was and how easy it would be for me to come to her with the problem and she would relate to me and she would share her walk, her journey, and bring me to some realization that it wasn't always going to be this way, or I could get to the other side. I could have a victory in this area. So with my own children, that incident with my mom taught me the lesson that I need to be human. There is so much power in me being human and sharing my weaknesses and sharing my fears that my daughters have no problem picking up the phone when they're struggling with something and saying, I need you to talk through this with me. I need you to help me with this. I'm really struggling with this. And that is the same in human relationships. I don't relate to the person who is perfect. Now, granted, there's probably a lot about that person that appears to be perfect that I could relate to. But until they show me some of that, I can't relate to them. So if I'm going through life and somebody thinks I don't ever struggle, I realize that my ability to relate to them and be of any significance to them is compromised because people relate to people that have human qualities like fear, failure, self-doubt. Now, I'm not saying all of the people that I relate to are losers. It's not true. All the people that I really relate to are often quite successful, strong people, but they're also people that are willing to talk about how they got there, how they get there on a daily basis. So the power of weakness, the power of being able to say, I struggled with that too. I don't know how to use this machine at work. Can you help me? And then the other person saying, I remember when I got here, I didn't know how to use this machine either. Those kind of things make people able to relate to each other. And that is kind of the journey. I believe we kind of miss the boat when everybody is trying to frame themselves up as being okay, as being healthy, as being perfect. I got this. Don't look at me, I don't have any problems. And really, in our weaknesses is where our strengths lie, our strengths to relate to each other, our strengths to pull each other forward. And I saw that so obviously in addiction, that until the new person hears other people, I mean, you walk into a room and you look at people from the outside in, and I don't care what room it is. It can be recovery, it can be church, it can be, something at your kid's school. And you just see people from the outside. And until you know something about their inside, we're comparing our insides, which we know everything about, and it's usually quite a conglomeration of healthy and unhealthy. We know everything about us, and we compare our insides to people's outsides. So in recovery, we talk about our insides. And one of the reasons we have to do that is to stay alive. We have to do that in order to find out how to live without a drink. And so we share our insides because we have to. But in sharing our insides, these other people come and they say, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I can get help. They will help me. They are like me, but they're not stuck anymore. So wouldn't it make sense that that passes on into every area in our real life? That I might be with a girlfriend that has no problem with alcohol, no problem with addiction, and she still might have these insecurities or those areas that she feels weak, and I can share some of mine with her, and then she's not alone, and she doesn't have to stay stuck there, and she can go forward. So I just want everybody to think about the fact that weakness has gotten a poor rap in our world, and that weakness is really an avenue for us to reach out and connect with each other. And we're not all weak about the same things at the same time. And that's what's really beautiful. You have strengths that I could use to know how you got there. How'd you fail before you won? Tell me how you got your victory. Tell me what took you to the point that you had to say uncle and find another way, because that's where I'm struggling today, and I have strengths where you're struggling. So come to me, ask me the questions, because the best victory I have is to make my weakness, my failures from the past, be of some use to somebody else. So Cathy McLeish, just talking to you about alcoholism, about recovery, and about the power of weakness in relating to each other to pull each other forward, whether it's with addiction or just something in everyday life that we're struggling with. Thanks.